If you're treating your sciatica, you're already fighting the wrong battle. Most people think sciatica is a problem in their body, but it's not. It's the result of a problem. It's just the messenger, an alarm system that's telling you that something else is going wrong. Here's what you want to do for sciatica. Number one, you need to understand where the cause is. If it's in your spine, we're going to treat it differently than if it's in your piriformis or in your SI joint. Number two, don't stretch the nerve. In no cases do nerves like to be stretched, especially if they're irritated. Number three, we need to let the nerve calm down. So give it a little time to rest, especially if it's an acute flare-up and it just recently happened. Then what you need to do is start with slow movements, such as walking. Walking is a fantastic way to just get your body working together synergistically. It's low impact and it's very good for just reducing inflammation. After you've gotten the nerve to calm down and you're ready to do some therapeutic exercise, then you need to start building your body back up. You need to build some stability and support, most likely for your spine, to give that nerve space. So in this video, we're going to talk about the 4 different ways that the sciatic nerve gets trapped and how to actually treat those different entrapments. So let's take a deep dive into the actual sciatic nerve. It's a large nerve that forms in the back of your pelvis and runs down your entire leg, splitting off into other nerves. Most often, the sciatic nerve gets pinched above the place where it forms. So it's not actually the sciatic nerve getting pinched. You really have to look at the fuller picture to determine where the cause of the nerve compression is. So now let's talk about the 4 different locations where the sciatic nerve commonly gets impinged or irritated. First one is going to be in your spine. And there's 2 different ways that the sciatic nerve gets impinged in your spine. One is by a disc bulge or herniation that's pressing on the nerve root that leads into the sciatic nerve. So it could be your L5 nerve root that's getting compressed by your disc, and that nerve root leads into the sciatic nerve and it's causing you sciatic symptoms, even though it's not really the sciatic nerve getting pinched. And it's not sciatica. It's called radiculopathy. The other way that the nerve gets impinged in your spine is through stenosis, which is more of a postural type condition of the spine that's exacerbated by anterior pelvic tilt and hyperlordosis. So the spine does have a natural curvature to it of a backward bending curve, but that curve can get accentuated. And if it gets exaggerated too much through something called anterior pelvic tilt, it closes down the spaces in the back of the vertebrae where the nerve exit. And so we need to open up those spaces and potentially take the pressure off of the nerve. The other less common location where the sciatic nerve gets impinged is at the back of the pelvis where the piriformis muscle runs. If you have no low back pain at all, and if your symptoms only go as high as your buttocks, right in the middle of your buttocks and lower, you may be experiencing a piriformis caused sciatica. And the 4th area of the body that commonly causes sciatic symptoms is the SI joint. Now the SI joint doesn't directly compress the sciatic nerve or nerve roots like the spine or the piriformis does, but irritation from SI joint problems can inflame the sciatic nerve roots. So for each of these different causes of sciatica or radiculopathy, there is a different treatment approach. If you are treating your leg or the location where you're experiencing the sciatic symptoms, you've missed the mark. Take a step back and think about the anatomy and what's actually happening here. There's nothing actually wrong with your foot or your leg, even though you're experiencing symptoms there. These are called referred symptoms or radiating pain, which means that the pain is traveling somewhere else. It does no good. It's useless to treat the area where you're experiencing those referred symptoms. Now we need to get into the areas of treatment. depending on where the nerve is being impinged in your spine. This is a problem of compression. The nerve is getting compressed, and so we need to create space for that nerve to exist, and that requires support. Ways to decompress the disc are the obvious ones, which would be getting horizontal and taking your body weight off of the disc. So laying down periodically throughout the day just to let the disc imbibe fluid and create space, because discs do hydrate and dehydrate throughout the day, every day of your life. And you are taller in the morning when you wake up than you are before you go to bed. And so getting horizontal and laying down is a great way to allow the disc just to absorb a little bit of fluid. And that in itself helps decompress the nerve by creating space. And a more long-term approach, the best way to decompress the spine and the discs is through something called intra-abdominal pressure. And what we want to do is create a brace around your core with your core muscles that you can breathe into. And as you breathe into your core, you're increasing the pressure inside this chamber we call our core. And when you increase the pressure inside a closed chamber like that, it actually increases the stability and support. Because if you minimize the expansion of your core, which is 360 degrees around your spine, and you increase the pressure in this chamber, there can be a little bit of expansion up and down, which is that decompression that we're after. And so this can happen all day long with your breath, and it is one of the most powerful ways to both support a spine that needs more support and create a little bit of a decompression on that spine. This requires that you do a little work on your core, and I think it's no secret that that's one of the most important factors for getting out of back pain. But they need to be a graded approach, not too aggressive, not too impactful. You need to take it step by step, kind of like 1% improvements at a time, so that you're not irritating this nerve that is highly sensitive and highly reactive right now. And another way that the nerve gets compressed is through something called stenosis, which can be influenced by your posture, especially of your pelvis. Posturally, if you are experiencing tight hip flexors and anterior pelvic tilt, we want to reverse that. And so this brings into the equation muscular balance, restoring balance between your hip flexors and your glutes, and we can do that through therapeutic exercises. So if your sciatica is coming from the piriformis, and this is more of a hip problem than a back problem, and there is an imbalance between the muscles of the hip, typically the piriformis tightens up as a protective reaction for the hip. The hip needs more support from some of the other muscles. And what I've found is most likely it's the glutes that once you can turn those on and activate them more, the piriformis can feel safe to let go. And so it's not a matter of stretching the piriformis, which if you've already tried, you've probably found is not a long-term solution, and it can actually irritate the nerve if you do it too much. Why is the piriformis tightening up? It's trying to support something, because that thing, this hip, is not feeling enough support. So we give the hip more support by training all the muscles around the hip, including the glutes, and allow the piriformis to let go a little bit. And the last sciatica cause that I mentioned, which is the SI joint, has a bit of a different treatment protocol. We're not actually treating a nerve compression at all, because it's not a true nerve compression. It's more inflammation that's irritating the nerve. And so we just need to reduce the inflammation in the SI joint by stabilizing the SI joint and avoiding activities that irritate it. So the main cause of acute SI joint pain are putting torque in that joint through certain movements. The main movements to avoid would be deep hip stretches, like figure 4 stretch, butterfly stretch, pigeon pose, deep squats, hip flexor stretches like a lunge or a kneeling hip flexor stretch, and other unilateral or single leg movements. And you want to stabilize that SI joint through exercises that are bilateral, like the bridge or a squat or a deadlift, if you can do those. We teach specific exercises in the core balance training program that stabilize the SI joint as well as the core and the lower back. They do get very specific. It's not very easy for me to want to just randomly recommend a run-of-the-mill exercise like the bridge, because it really does matter how you're doing it and how your core is engaging. So at the very least, I would recommend getting some supervision, or you can always check out the core balance training program, and we do offer a free trial to check that out. I did just create a video on sciatica versus SI joint pain if you're having trouble differentiating the two. And I am going to be creating a video diving much deeper into SI joint pain and the causes and the treatment very soon. So if you want to check those videos out, you can go to our channel or subscribe so that you can receive this next video. We put out new content every week. So thanks for checking us out. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.